It's Friday, and I'm back with the next in our Fanzine Friday series. Today we're taking a look at the Oracle number 3. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer. This is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on the Fanzine Friday series, I take a fanzine from my collection off the shelf for a closer look. Today it's the Oracle number 3 from October of 1982. Hope you enjoy the video. So Chris Bigelow is at it again, and he's churning out these fanzines in rapid succession, which is a lot better than a lot of folks when they get started. So this is the Oracle number 3. It's from October of 1982, just a month after the last one. And again, it's all paper. It's not heavy stock on the cover, staples to the middle. And this one is a little different. It's a slightly not quite brown color, but then everything in here, all the print, the ink is blue throughout the entire fanzine. So let's take a look at the cover. We have artwork here again from Barbara LaPlaca, who did the art on the last one. This one is, it looks like a crocodile to me. I don't know if it's supposed to be a dragon or a giant lizard or not, but it kind of looks like a crocodile to me. I think the art, is okay. Let's talk about what's in the fanzine. So we have a brief editorial from Chris. He just talks about it coming along. He thinks it's getting better all the time. I love his optimism, his enthusiasm. He's always talking about how much better the magazine's going to be, and in fact, he's even got a little advertisement in the middle of this fanzine talking about how good the Oracle is and why people would want to subscribe to it, almost like it's an advertisement for his fanzine in his fanzine. He talks about his excitement for the artists and the authors who are going to be participating both in this issue and in upcoming issues, and is encouraging people to continue to subscribe and provide contributions. He mentions he's given up on the idea of a product swap. He's continuing to talk about play-by-mail games and maybe wants to start one of those within his subscriber base. And you'll recall in the hardbound book here that I've mentioned before, which, by the way, excellent if you can ever pick it up. He talks about the fact that he sort of got distracted or decided he was more interested in running a play-by-mail game than maybe making this fanzine for a while. And again, he's got a number of people listed in here in the masthead of names he's made up, other people in his gaming group who didn't do anything, all designed to just make this look like a vibrant professional organization or production that has a big organization behind it. There's a table of contents, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. A new character class called the Courtesan, Reader Ideas, which is in this case a new magic item. Be It Ever So Humble, which is fiction, and maybe in keeping with the fact it's October and the Halloween theme, this one is a little bit of a, it's modern times, a little bit of a spooky story. It was okay. Libraries Examined, this is for your fantasy role-playing game. Book reviews looking at different novels that had come out, play-by-mail gaming, gaming publications. Discussion again of fantasy cinema, a hallmark of this particular fanzine. Review of a couple of games, and then another game, Phase 7, has the author of the game talking about the game that he's created. And then Beyond, which is a comic strip at the end, and unfortunately it only appears here the one time. You'll see a number of people here in the table of the contributors. Chris Bigelow, of course, continues to be involved. Ronald Pehr has been involved since the beginning. And then a number of new people: Christopher John, Robert Martin, John Nubbins, Ken St. Andre contributes an article. Mike Dawson, Dennis Drew, Bruce Taylor has been contributing. He's a reader, basically making contributions. And then C.J. Henderson, Russ Steffens are involved with the comic at the end. One's the writer, one's the C.J.'s the writer, Russ is the illustrator. And then Clyde Caldwell, pretty famous name, right? So here's the table of contents. It's designed by Clyde Caldwell, very famous artist from TSR, Dungeons & Dragons, that sort of second era of artists. We had the Four Horsemen, Jeff Easley, Larry Elmore, Keith Parkinson, and Clyde Caldwell. And he did the design, not only the art along the left, but I think the artistic design around the edge. And then here, I just sort of zoomed in so you can see the warrior that he's drawn standing there with his swords crossed on top of some kind of funky otherworldly skull. It sort of looks like he's on top of. Really cool. This is his only art in there. But I was turning through the pages. I think, wait a minute. And then, of course, Clyde has that very distinctive little C design that he does at the bottom. And so I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely the same guy. It's really cool. So let's talk about some of the contents here. The Courtesan, Ronald Mark Pehr, I don't see it. In fact, it's interesting because he says, you may be asking yourself, why would you ever want to play a courtesan when, and as you read in, usually a woman, not necessarily, but basically no armor, basically no weapons, darts and daggers, and their special skill is their ability to persuade other people to maybe give them information or be more favorable towards the party. I did not see the interest or the attraction in playing this character class, but he's got it there. It's very well thought out for what it is. He's got the different levels. You get different skills at each level. Your second level, you can create a Mickey, right? The spiked drink. Then your charisma increases over time. You can gain some minor thieving skills like the ability to pick someone's pocket, disarm a trap, unarmed combat, which is the ability basically to escape if someone's getting a little too frisky. Reading, you get to learn different languages or detect magic as you get further and further up. I really don't see it, but again, well done. I just think the idea itself probably not great. Bruce Taylor, reader ideas. He's basically written in with a new magic item called the Star Sword of Carmandus. So I like the concept a lot. Maybe we tweak the execution here a little bit. So it's a sword, and it's a +1 weapon in sunlight, +3 under starlight. And so you have to actually be able to, the sword has to be sort of in I guess, contact with that light. So if you're in a dungeon, this is not going to work. And then it's tied to the zodiac. You could do something particular to your world, but at different times of the year, it has different abilities. So that I liked. I thought that was a really interesting idea. So example, in the sign of Aries, right, which is the sign of the ram, you can conjure a ram for whatever good that will do you, and then sort of randomly a fire elemental and boost morale to hirelings. Taurus, you can summon a bull or an earth elemental, and you get a wisdom increase of 1 to 4 during the month. So again, you got to be under sunlight or starlight, but still. So I'll just go down through the different things here. I think a lot of them are overpowered. Gemini, summon 2 4th level fighters. An air elemental increases your intelligence for D4 during the period. Cancer, summon a giant crab or water elemental, and you can teleport home from any place. That's kind of interesting. Leo, summon a lion, fire elemental, and your strength is boosted by D4. Virgo, you can summon a paladin, 4th level, earth elemental, increase charisma by D4. Libra, the sword is a bag of holding, and I'm not really sure how that works, since you just shove it into the metal or something. It's not clear, but you could work with that, right? Earth elemental. Scorpio, giant scorpion, water and a water elemental, and the scorpion, the sword has the effect of a scorpion sting, so it can poison. Sagittarius, a 6 hit dice archer, fire elemental, D4 increase to dexterity. Capricorn, sure-footedness of a goat, however that comes into play, and an earth elemental. Aquarius, you can pour forth a gallon of water every round. And an air elemental, which is interesting. I would have thought that would have been a water elemental. And finally, Pisces, 3 dolphins. Very specific to the water campaign, I guess. And a water elemental, and you can breathe underwater. So there's elementals, I would say, among all that. The summoning of a fire elemental, water, air elemental, probably a little overpowered. But you might figure out something to tone that down a little bit. But the idea, again, I like this idea quite a lot. That's pretty, for new magic items, it's a pretty good one. Libraries examined by Robert Martin is a just a discussion about the types of libraries and ideas, thinking about what type of libraries you might have in your fantasy campaign. He talks about the fact that in the real world, basically, you know, monasteries had libraries. Maybe some rich people had small libraries. And that's it. But of course, in D&D or other fantasy campaigns, you have wizards and alchemists, and these guys are all going to have extensive libraries for whatever magical stuff that they're creating, right? In addition to other things. And I thought that one good point was, you know, wizard obviously wants spells, but they're going to have all kinds of knowledge, random books in there. And so some thought about what a party might find in there beyond spells or treasure maps, right? Other things they might be able to piece together, clues and adventures you could send them on. And I thought that was a really good idea. This idea of sort of searching through a library and finding something that sends you off on a really good adventure is a good one. Not that a lot of people haven't done that before, but I thought it could be pretty creative start. Okay, he has these book reviews. He basically says Anne McCaffrey's a great author. He does not like this book. He did not like the character or the story. He said this character basically is kind of a stinker. He doesn't like their personality or their morals or whatever, and they seem to get everything they want just because they want it. There's no lessons learned. There's no hardships to overcome. So he said this is like one of her worst books. And then Roger Zelazny has a one called The Eye of Cat, which he liked a lot. It's the last living Navajo, and he's with this alien, and he sort of has to confront his past in order to try and overcome this alien. That's the short of it. But he liked it a lot. He also mentions a few books he says that are, notable reprints. The War Against the Bull by Van Vogt. I might be saying that wrong. Eric John Stark's Outlaw of Mars. Polymath by John Brunner. Confessions of a Crap Artist by Philip Dick. Moon of Mutiny, Lester de Rey. The Battle of Forever, Van Vogt again, and The Last Incantation by Clark Ashton Smith. So I do like in his fanzine the discussion of movies, the discussion of books added in there. They're all tie back right to fantasy, but it's something you don't see in a lot of fanzines. So and it gives you a little reminder of where we were in time for those of us who were playing back in the day. Okay, discussion of Play by Mail Gaming. He's got Flying Buffalo and Schubel and Sons. Flying Buffalo has Heroic Fantasy. Schubel and Son has Catacombs of Chaos. He likes them both. He talks about the difference. If you didn't know this, Flying Buffalo, who did Tunnels and Trolls, and did a number of, they did the Grimtooth Traps. But very first thing they did, before any of that, was Play-by-Mail Gaming, and they were pretty much the big one. He calls them the TSR of Play-by-Mail Gaming. They did a lot of their games were run through use of computer. And so he mentions in here, there's a little stiffness to this Flying Buffalo game because of that coming sort of response from a computer, feels like, and so you're more limited, to like what the ABCD, right, for what the computer maybe can do. Whereas Catacombs of Chaos is sort of done by hand, and you said you can see that in places. But he likes them both and says basically you should try them both and see which one is more to your liking. Gaming publications, or as I like to call them, fanzines. So Olympus, and here's one that I have a couple of, but there's at least 5 or 6. I don't have them all, so I'm trying to get the entire collection before I talk about those. But look, I think it looks pretty cool. He was a little so-so on Olympus, said they didn't use the space well, and he was critical of their artwork, which is interesting because he doesn't have much artwork in here at all. And then the Fantasy Network newsletter, which he said really he couldn't figure out what they were trying to produce here. He said they professed to be something for reader contributions, but he couldn't really see much of anything in there, and he doesn't really know what they're trying to accomplish with this fanzine. I have never seen this one, so I got to put it on my list of things to find. Fantasy Cinema Review, always fun to see what he's talking about. So he's talking today about The Sword and the Sorcerer and Beastmaster. He mentions Conan, which he beats up on all the time. He did not realize how well that would age. Conan the Barbarian, of course, now sort of a cult kitschy classic. As for these other ones, Sword and the Sorcerer, Beastmaster, and he says both of these are sort of okay, predictable, very similar. You got the big buffy warrior, going after some evil guy, helped out by some pretty female character, etc. He also mentions in here the Dark Crystal, which is coming out, has not come out yet, but he's apparently seen some trailers and some other little pieces of that. And he says he hopes that one will be pretty good. He thinks it will be. And of course, that's another I think, classic from back in the era, Jim Henson's Dark Crystal. Then we have a couple of reviews. Swordbearer is put out, and he had a chance to play it at a convention, and he does a review of it. And, you know, he says it's okay. It sounds like it's pretty below average to me. He likes some things about it. He likes the combat system is okay. He uses an idea that Ken had come up with, where you have a skill, a percentage D100 skill. And so let's say your score is a 52 with the sword, so you'd roll your D100. If you get under that, that's how you achieve a hit, rather than using like to hit tables and THAC0 and stuff like that. The other review that's in here is Rolemaster, and as you can tell from the comment, Rolemaster, is it Rolemaster or should we say Chartmaster? And he's like, this is like the most complex thing. You got to have 16 different tables up in front of you to try and run combat. And he said it's sort of like takes chivalry and sorcery and pushed it forward, making some things a little simpler, but other things a lot more complicated. And again, this is a pseudonym for Chris. And you know, says in his view, this is just too complicated. So then we have a different kind of role-playing. Dennis Drew, the author of Phase 7, says about his own game. And he says it's very unique. You can be sort of any magic or other skill that you really kind of want in his game. And the idea, I think, is you're on a spaceship. It reminds me of Metamorphosis Alpha. I don't know if he didn't know about that or he just omits discussion of that. But you're on this ship called the Orion, and you're going off to another place, and this bacteria gets loose. It kills most everybody on there, and when the captain tries to throw the alarm, he accidentally activates the defenses. Some human beings sort of they have their mind wiped of any memories, and they get some type of mutation to be whatever skill or special ability they want, and then you're on this ship and you got to try and survive. That's how I understand his description of his own game. He says it's not supposed to be mostly combat. It's supposed to be more role-playing and thinking and problem-solving. At least that's his idea. And now we have this comic, which is really well illustrated, called Beyond. C.J. Henderson writes it. Russ Steffens, artist. John Zitzman, letterer. And so you see these boats here. And then there's this like old house, and there's these, they show the scene of all the death outside, and then people are inside this, it looks like the keep or castle or something, and these are your collection of heroes who say, hey, they're going to attack us again soon, we've got to get ready, and how are we going to do it, etc. And then there's some discussion back and forth, and finally this lady who's sort of a sorceress says, you know, someone would tell us our tale, and let's see what abilities each of us has, that kind of thing, so we can figure out and try and map out a plan. They draw straws to see who's going to tell them their story first. The sorceress lady draws the straw, and she says, my name is Latisa. My journey away from all of you started many years ago, and I must admit I'm not pleased to be back. I don't know what that means. Next issue, The Sorceress's Tale. Unfortunately, this comic does not return. And so I thought it was well done. I thought the art was good. I was pulled in by the story. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know what this lady's deal is. But unless we can track this guy down, I guess we'll never find it out. Well, so that's it for Fanzine Friday, Oracle number 3 from October of 1982. Hope you all are enjoying the videos. Hope you're enjoying the series and the channel, and I hope you're subscribed. If you have some friends who might like our content, please send them our way. We're still trying to grow our subscriber base. And until next time, my friends, keep rolling 20s.